Okay.
Hello. Hi. I am Rachel, teacher, healer, author, and modern mystic. Like that, Nick? And
It rolls off the tongue, Rach.
doesn't it? Doesn't it? That has come with some practice. And this evening, I am joined by the wonderful Nici. Her name's not Nici Rambles. Nici from Nici's Rambles. I don't know which side you are, so I'm just going to do that. She's on one side. Please let me know when you've joined live, just to say hi, just so I can see who's here, because it's always nice to see. So Nici is joining me this evening because I wanted to kind of focus on an area of my work once a month, and this area of my work this evening, which I particularly enjoy, and Nici does some of it with me, is community. So what I wanted to have a chat about tonight was, you're right, got a bit close.
Yeah, my light was up really bright. I was like, oh, I just turned it down. It's a bit better.
It's better. So this evening we want to have a chat about whatever comes out of our mouths, but in particular about how community is obviously changed quite considerably over the last few months. What a difference it's kind of made, I think, to both of us over those last few months, and how important it is to have the right community around you as well, not just any community. And maybe how that community may change going forward, or the changes that we've seen happening going forward, and how that's going to affect ourselves. Nici, so you and I have been running community groups in various forms for a little while now. Hi, Debbie, haven't we?
Yes, we have. So you know when you're part of a community, and so one of the reasons that I set up my own community was because I was part of a community for many years, and when I left that community, that's what I missed. I didn't necessarily miss the events. I missed like and not necessarily the actual people either. It was the act of coming together with a purpose of some kind, and being with others. And it took me a few years, and I that's what I missed the most. Was that literally that, I know, like you would say, it's coming together in communion. I never went to sort of church or anything like that, so I didn't know what that was until I kind of joined spiritual communities. So yeah, there's definitely pluses and minuses of running your own communities. But the beauty of running your own is that you can set the intent and the kind of feel around what kind of community you want to create.
Absolutely. I think it's really important. I know that you and I have got similar ideas about our spiritual pathways, and I think that in itself is really important. When we look at spirituality and the umbrella of spirituality, there are some really big labels that people might put on their spirituality, which might be witch or pagan or Wiccan, or even certain religions, like some of the spiritualist union churches, some of them call themselves Christian, etc. So there are some big labels that if you want to, you could put on yourself spiritually. You and I have never been up for that. We've I think we're far more defined by ourselves, and that pathway back to ourselves, rather than anything else. So all of the above and some more we'll take a bit of. Thank you very much. Hey Eve. And what that's allowed us to do is to gather others who've got that kind of an outlook as well to them. And I think it is really important when you've got a community going to set an intent, and be really careful with how you word it as to who you want to draw forward. And then you've just kind of got to leave it up to the universe to get them to fill in that gap in whichever way. Because the thing about a community is that nothing's ever going to suit everyone, and that there's always going to be some stuff that doesn't suit some people and other stuff that does suit others more. And you've also got to be really open to the fact that people will join a community for whatever reason that community isn't going to serve them anymore. And when you're leading that community, you've got to give them the grace, the opportunity, and sometimes the direction that they need to go off and maybe start their own community. Maybe they need to go off and look at different avenues and go down different avenues for something very specific for their spirituality and those spiritual communities they feel are going to be better for them than maybe what we're providing.
Yeah, completely. Like, I think that's one of the most important things with when you're building communities, isn't it? Is that there has to be a open door to your community, and that's a welcome door and an exit. Yeah, because I've had it in the past when I was running Conscious Minds. There was sort of people coming along who I was like, why are you turning up? Like, let's have a conversation about this. Are you getting something out of coming? And as it turned out, like one or two of them in particular were coming because they felt like they should support. And I was like, no, that's not how this works. Like, because the whole point of a community is that you need to be getting something out of it to be able to give something to the community.
Absolutely, yeah.
And actually, it was a really important conversation to have, and we had that conversation again as a wider community as well. That I don't want even one person coming to a regular meet or any of that kind of stuff out of like some kind of duty. Because that's the wrong energy to bring to a community. It turns very quickly into duty, resentment, all of those kinds of things. And I think we ended up,
oh my God, I'm having to leave the house and I can't be bothered, and and then you bring energy with you into the group. And especially when you're working with energy, which is spiritual people we are, that's the biggest thing that we're dealing with. You're literally coming in with that energy. So it's, and we're not talking about you've had a bad week and actually need to be around everyone in order to feel better. It's that sense where every week I'm turning up because I have to turn up, not because I want to turn up.
Yeah, completely. And that's one of the reasons, when I left the community I was a part of originally, that was one of the underlying currents of it, was that there was a feeling as if I had to go. And if I didn't go, there might be questions asked about why I wasn't there, or, hey, Zach, or that kind of thing. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting kind of dynamic, So I love that we both have had those experiences, so that when we created Real World, there is a really different energy to it. We have members that they pay monthly and they might not turn up to groups. They might come along to one and then we don't see them for a few weeks. And they don't feel like they have to tell us if they're not coming, or all of those kinds of things. It's very much open door. Hey Vicky, in your dorm room, bed rest. So that's what I really love about Real World, is that there's one person who joins us who actually does something else on a Thursday, and they come and, sorry, I just need to, soz, I do that.
Not Stu.
So they don't actually come on a Thursday very often, but when they do, it's lovely to see them. And when they don't, they've got the catch-ups to watch, and they're still a part of the community in different ways as well.
Yeah.
And that was really important given like the experiences.
Absolutely. And I think what we all do, which is life, which is you learn both positively and negatively what it is that you want. And those negative things that happen absolutely drive you to the truths which you know to be right for you. And so, you know, that's really important. And also what you picked up on earlier, which was not doing it out of duty and responsibility, doing it because you want to. It also needs to be like that for those running the group, which is why in the past I've done stuff, either like a lot of the face-to-face stuff I've done with David, and obviously you and I are doing the online one together, because you kind of need somebody for me to share that burden with, to share that, so that on those weeks when there is an issue, and like I had an issue last night, for example, that you've got somebody else to turn to and go, look, everything's kind of gone a bit tits up, and I'm not in a position to lead. And it actually means that rather than me turning up out of duty, which is what I normally would have done, I was able to actually have somebody who absolutely 100% didn't throw their toys out of the pram and went, yeah, cool, yeah, no problem at all. And that's the balance that you kind of need. And for us to also enjoy talking and enjoy the guest speakers that we have in, and all of that sort of thing is really, really important. And it's interesting because you and I, well, I think it kind of been in the background for a while, and then I mentioned it again just before Christmas of 2019. So obviously online before it was fashionable, because we just both felt that an online community was really useful and really important and had all of that stuff. And I think a lot of us and a lot of people previously had been used to doing everything face to face, all of the spiritual stuff face to face. And I think that there was a genuinely really strong feeling that, oh my God, am I still going to get out of it what I thought I was going to get out of it? Are you still going to be feeling there? Is it still going to feel like a group? Which I think is what a lot of people have. And I have that with people when they want to go for readings. Oh no, because I want to sit. It's a different feeling when you do it online than face to face. And you know, it actually, for me, it isn't. When I do an online reading, my connection is absolutely no different. And in fact, it's better in a certain way. You've got that perspective and you've got that distance. And I think that the working with the online group has really shown that to me, is that the community does feel really good and everyone is really friendly and everyone does get on. And people who haven't known each other before have ended up becoming friends. There's no weirdness, none of that weirdness when everyone's like, hey Tracy, oh, you know, there's a newbie joined, you know, none of that kind of weird stuff.
No, there isn't. And I think that's a lot about we didn't jump into it. Mm-hmm. You know, we've given our experience of building communities and creating communities between us. We could have literally just, you know, cracked on with it and off we go. But actually we had some really, really intense conversations about it, you know, about what we wanted it to feel like, how we wanted to run it, you know, what it had to give. And not only what it had to give other people, but what it needed to give us. Yeah. And I think it's a massive testament to the community we've built, that on our weeks off, so like we have a week off each a month, don't we? Yeah. On our weeks off, sometimes we turn up anyway, because you know what Rach is talking about, I want to listen to, or what I'm doing, Rach wants to listen to, and that's a massive testament to the community we've actually built, because you miss it when you're not. Yeah. I don't know if I'm having an internet issue or not. No,
it keeps going a bit glitchy. It's fine now. It's really interesting because something that I really noticed when I was, and I think you've probably picked up on the same thing, when you do the face-to-face groups, which I do want to get back to doing a healing circle at some when we get close, when we can actually get close to people, and I don't, the whole PVC, I know it's not PVC, thing is, I don't know whether or not I'm down with that, but I know, how long do I want to leave it, and do we really want to use 20 million pairs of gloves for an evening of healing?
Hey, Georgia.
Hey, it's Georgia. With the face-to-face groups, what I really found was that it got to a point where we'd obviously been drawn to working in a hall or in a centre for a reason. And I remember, not last summer, obviously, the summer before, David and I did a load of field work, which was really good fun. And it's something that we've all spoken about organising again and doing again because it was so good. We went around and did a load of field work, some of it in the area where the centre was. And afterwards, David and I were like, I think we need to change centre now. And that was the second centre we'd been in. And there was no reason for it apart from the fact that we felt drawn to go to somewhere else. We were obviously drawn there for a reason. It worked at that time for maybe personal purposes as well as energetic purposes. We've done what we came to do, which was part of it was to shift some energy in the area. So it is really interesting how that happens. Obviously, with an online community, you don't need to worry about that. But with the physical community, that was really quite clear, is that maybe you're going into places and opening them up, which I know is kind of like an experience that you've had, laying the seeds, trying to get everything started there, and trying to get everything growing, and whether or not that continues long term with you, or maybe somebody else ends up picking up that baton. I know in Chandlersford, where I am now, that's exactly what happened. Is that literally as you moved out, I moved into the area, so we kind of like passed the baton. And I know that you've had that experience elsewhere as well, with regard to opening up areas.
Yeah, completely. So I'm originally from Eastleigh and Chandlersford, and although I was living over here in Southampton, I really felt a pull to bring my brothers and sisters out of the shadows in like Eastleigh and Chandlersford. Like, there was such a quiet spiritual scene, almost sort of in the shadows, other than the spiritual church. And so the first thing I did was run some fairs in the area, and it was literally my entire aim for those fairs was working with local spiritual healers, holistic workers, anything spiritual goods, just in that local area, to showcase them and help the community to realize who they had around them. And I did, I think, 3 or 4 of those, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore. And then I kept getting asked about a regular community. So I used the same space and created a weekly community down there. I'm going to turn my headphones off.
Okay. You're having fun with those?
I'm having an issue. Actually, I might not. That might work. So yeah, I created the weekly community group, and that was absolutely beautiful. And then I found that, like, I kept saying to Rach, I don't know what's up, but like the energy's different now. And we had a long chat, and we did some field work again in the actual community space, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm done. I'm actually done here now. And so I moved myself out of Chandlersford spiritually, and into my current space, which is in Southampton. And as I did that, you moved in to Chandlersford. And then I opened a community space here where I live, and I did that for, I can't even remember how long it was. It wasn't long. It was about 6 months, I think. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm done with this now. And it's not the fact that you know, to people listening, they're probably thinking, gosh, she changes her mind a lot, but it's not about the change of mind, it's about the change of energy. Like, I feel each time I feel like I've done what I needed to do. And actually what's happened is that our high street has become, you know, it's suddenly had shops opening that are spiritual, and you know, people popping up in the area. The spiritual church nearby to me has reopened. And this is all beautiful, and sometimes it just takes a catalyst to bring that new energy back in, you know, whisk it all up again.
Really interesting about the high street near you is that there's a few different places that have all got very different vibes, and I think that that's really important, because people are going to be attracted to what suits them and where they are at that moment, and the space that they're working in at that time. So people are going to be attracted to what they need to, and then they've got a choice that if they need to move on to something else or to choose something else, there's another place or another venue up and down the road. And the really nice thing is, when you've got physical venues, is when those people kind of come together and work with each other and say, well, it's not something we do here, but so and so down the road, they do that, they're great at that type of thing. And that's what we want from spiritual communities and physical spiritual communities. And there has been an issue in certain areas, and certainly issues that I'm sure plenty of people locally, and it doesn't matter where you are, that you're going to get issues where one place is going to go, oh, they've opened, rather than, oh my god, like there's a shop down the road with a completely different vibe that has opened up, and actually all that's going to do is to draw people who are into our stuff down to this street, and it means that they've got a choice, that they might come in there, they might come in, there is no direct competition, and we know that energy within the universe is limitless, and that people are going to go to exactly who they're supposed to at that time. And if we give people the freedom to do that, it means that at some point they're going to be free to come back to us. If we try and bind that and try and do weird stuff with it and try and set weird intents that we were just talking about, the intent that we had that people can come and go as they need to, if you set a very different intent, which is that I want people to me in, you know, instead of them, what's going to happen is that you don't attract anyone. Or, you know, because people come in and they feel kind of bound and they feel kind of weird and they don't know why they feel weird. We're all spiritual woo-woo people. You walk into somewhere, you're like, oh, the energy in here's off. And it's because some intent has been set, which is basically
bad juju.
There's a bad juju in here. I don't know what's going on. I'm not coming back here. And then you bugger off again, because, you know, and that's the worst thing you can do, is to set restrictive intents. Intents when it comes to communities need to be empowering, and they need to be for the greater good as well as everyone's best personal interest. You know, that's something you and I talk about a lot, Nici, which is what's good for me and what's good for everyone. Like, those two things need to be in balance. So the second they're not in balance, the second you've got a community leader that's begrudging turning up every week and moaning and having a go at the congregation in, you know, in wherever it is, whether it's a spiritual center, whether it's you know, a church, you know, for example, somewhere like that, what you're going to have, I'm not making any sly comments at all, what you're going to have is people turning away and people not wanting to come because they feel that burden coming through, they feel that restriction coming through. So when it comes to anyone creating a spiritual community, the intent is really, really important. And it's also okay to be really clear about labels that you might put in it. Like, for example, if you very strongly identify as like Christian SNU, you know, Christian spiritualist in whatever way, and you want to go with that kind of a vibe, then absolutely plaster that on everything that you do, because that's who else you want to have. If your vibe is very pagan or very Wiccan, for example, again, go with that. If that's the sort of person that you want to attract, then absolutely go for it. If you want to be like us, and there, you know, for you, you know, the universe is a sweetie shop full of all of this amazing stuff, and we want to be involved in whatever is best for us without restriction, then absolutely, then, you know, you want to set that kind of a vibe on it. So it's really, really important when you're running communities, when you work within communities, that the intent is set from the get-go and over the longer term as well. And it's something that you and I do every so often, which is we'll have a chat about where we think things are going, where we feel things are going, and reset that intent. You you know, because we're both very aware that both of us have got lives, and if things change, we both need to have that opportunity to turn around to the person and go, oh, do you know what, this isn't working for me as it is, so that we can move things as they need to, because the last thing you want is stagnant energy in an energetic community.
Right. Yeah. Like, because that, and I remember when I closed down the second community space that I was running closer to home, you know, being really honest with people and saying, do you know what, actually, like, I feel a kind of resentment, and that's not a space that I'm willing to hold for other people. Like, if I'm feeling like this is too much work and with not enough reward, and I mean financially, you know, reward comes in lots of different ways. If I'm feeling that way, then, like, it's, as a spiritual person, my job is to look at myself and go, why is this struggling? You know, why are people not running to the door and all of these kinds of things, you know? And so often, you know, we, especially in spiritual communities, we have a kind of blame situation that happens. Oh, you know, people aren't coming anymore because external. You know, instead of actually looking at, really honestly at yourself and the energy that you're putting into your space.
Absolutely. It's that thing about, you know, as a spiritual person, we should be looking even more inside than we should be looking outside for the answers. And if you can't do that, then, you know, really, should you be leading a community? Is a really good question to ask yourself. If you really struggle with the painful stuff and looking at the painful stuff, is it something that I want to do? Equally, if it is, you know, that vibe is, it's down to energy. You're just putting out the wrong energy, and when you start working with energy and you start looking at manifestation, law of attraction, or whatever you want to call it, you know that what you're putting out is what you're going to get back in. So it's you need to read the signs and look for what spirit are telling you about your situation, about yourself, or about the wider community. And sometimes it might be about the wider community, but at the same time, it's likely that the wider community is matching your vibe, which is that this isn't the right time or quite the right space or whatever.
Yeah, and what's so Vicky was just saying the about the space having a mixed energy. Yeah, completely. And what's really interesting is when you trust yourself and you look at yourself and you go, do you know what, I'm feeling a bit resentful about this. I'm, you know, it's not, I can't quite put my finger on why, but I feel like I'm done with this space. Trust yourself. And what happens is, a month down the line, you walk past it and you realize it's been turned into a maths center because the person who was renting it to you didn't actually want to rent it out anymore. So his energy was also blocking the space becoming successful for anyone that was renting in it. There were several people renting it, and they were all struggling. And actually a lot of it was because he really, really resented the space. He didn't want to be in the space. He didn't want to have to keep maintaining it. He, to be honest, he wanted to sell it. And I was really excited about him wanting to sell it. I was like, oh, I wonder if I could work out how to, you know, buy it myself and things like that. And actually the exact right thing happened, which is that it's now being used as a maths tutoring space for kids, and it's doing fantastically well. So
absolutely. What else is that space being used for? Where is it sat? And it's all of those things where you go, okay, the energy's off, but maybe I can do something with this energy. And if you can't, it's
Jesus Christ did change his life. I completely agree. So
Yeah, it is really interesting when you've got somebody who owns a space and the intent that they put on it. Is it free? Is it free flowing? Have they got the same outlook and the same vibe as you? Which is why it's really important that you're very conscious about who you work with and who you collaborate with, who you share your dreams and ideas with, to make sure that you're all on the same path. All of that's really, really important. And it's difficult when you're trying to rent a space if somebody actually doesn't want it to be successful, because actually what they want to do is to sell it and get rid of it. But they're labouring under this burden, which is something that a lot of us fall into. And I think it's very easy for a spiritual person of any type or an empath to sometimes fall into that victim state where you're so used to holding a load that you just carry on, and you just carry on holding this load and feeling the weight of it and going, oh, this isn't my job because I'm an empath, or this is my job because I'm spiritual, or this is my job because I'm a good person. And that's not the way that the universe works. If it's not meant to be, or you're not meant to run it, something else you need to leave that space for something else to move into. And that happens for you as well. Something else will move into your life because actually you've given that up. It's time now for something for your life to move on to another stage. And we do struggle with change as human beings. That is a really big, it's a part of the human condition, is struggling with that change. But
it's the one constant that we absolutely struggle with the most. Like, it's literally the one thing that definitely happens is change.
Constant change. And in fact, I was talking to my 6-year-old about that before we came on, about how much change that has happened over the last couple of years and how big that change has been. And she's comprehending that herself. She said, I started to feel a bit more miserable when I was 4. And we then talked about all the changes that have happened since she was 4. So that change is something that we need to give ourselves and other people room for. And actually, I think that's probably the crux of everything that we've been talking about, is that change and growth. It's all of those things are really, really important within spirituality and within consciousness, and within allowing our minds to expand and our understanding and our horizons to broaden. So, if we don't give ourselves that space, and we really want to closet those that come to us, or we really closet those that the space that we're in, or our own movements and our own change, then it's really going to set the wrong vibe for a community. Vicky's just asked us if we can all set the intent for this baby delivered instead of just leaving me with contractions. Yes, Vicky, this is probably the place to ask it. That's not fun, just
yeah, it's not fun. I was the same from 35 weeks with Maddie. It was a joy. But baby will come when baby is ready, and it will be a wonderful delivery for you, Vic.
It will be. No matter what happens, everything will be fine and good, and everyone will be happy and healthy. That's
love that you do this each time you're doing it.
I'm just making it grow. I'm making it grow.
I was thinking while you were talking that something that strikes me, and like blow own trumpet situation, is that for me, I think really successful communities are ones that become self-run.
Yes, self-propelling. Yes.
So, like, in real world, for example, a lot of the people who come also chat to each other elsewhere. They've created new friendships and new bonds and all of that kind of stuff. And it's and if they haven't received the link, they sort it out amongst themselves. They can put a message in the group and say, oh, I've lost the link, and someone else finds the link for them. And it's less of a being led community, although we put in a huge amount of work to lead the space in terms of topics, guest speakers, like actually talking our asses off every week. it's not a sit there and listen, it's a discussion, it's a group, it's a collaborative community.
And that's the whole point of community, is that it's a group of people coming together, and it's that interaction and that joining together. And it's, you know, when you look at any religion and where it's come from, every single one will start off with those collaborations, with those groups of like-minded souls who sit around and chit chat. And I'm currently reading a book that Zach has lent me on theosophy and the theosophy movement, and the thought of them sitting around in the Victorian era, having these discussions within these amazing homes that I'm sure they all had, actually makes, like, I just can't think of anything more blissful. So it's, you know, it's that community and that coming together which makes a difference. What's really interesting is that an online community doesn't have the restrictions of a physical community in respect of a lot of the energy of other people, a lot of the intents of other people, of spirit going, this area needs to be cleared and now you need to move on to somewhere else, all of that fun stuff that comes, I think, with a physical community. The other major thing has obviously been that for the last, whatever, is it a year officially in this country with COVID now, that everything has had to be online for a really, really good reason. And that community, that online community, makes it is a place to come to. And I think that what's happened is that people have realized, okay, it's not, you know, it's not a physical community, but it's an online community. And this is where I can come to. This is where I can chat with everyone. This is where we can chat in the chat box on a Zoom chat, all the naughty stuff, and hope that Nici and Rach won't read it out as we're going along. You're more than welcome to do it in the group chat here, although this will be displayed on Facebook rather than on a private Zoom call. You know, it's that thing where actually the community is still there. And what we've done is we've got the physical weekly community. You know what I'm talking about.
You should have seen them last night, Rach. They were talking about waxing and all kinds of interesting things.
Interesting things, obviously. It's having that the weekly community plus somewhere to catch up. And you and I have been talking about ways to zhuzh that up as well over the last couple of days, which is really interesting. That has come up at around the time when I'd said to you this week, I really want to talk about community, and you know, providing another place. And that's an interesting thought. If you've got an online provider who was a social media provider who just so happens to be quite closeting and wants you to go to everything for them rather than using other people's services, that can sometimes get quite restrictive. And you and I have both spoken about our love of Facebook and appreciation and gratefulness for Facebook. We've also spoken about those restrictive energies within Facebook and how we both feel that because of the energy behind it, that actually it can be quite detrimental, and it doesn't quite align with our energies. And you and I have both had lots of discussions about, is it possible to come off of this platform in any way and still survive as a business? At the moment, no. I've tried advertising not on Facebook, and it just doesn't work. All of my peoples are on Facebook. So, but you and I are certainly seeing that there's, I think, generally a sway within people, and a lot of it actually has been prompted by COVID and seeing all of the shit that people put on their feed, and you're like, Jesus Christ. And I'm telling people on Facebook, delete your Facebook app off your phone, because it's too much. It's just too much. If it's too much for me, and you know, and I'm quite good, I'm generally like naturally quite a chilled out person. I've got other tools when I'm not a chilled out person. You know, and if it's getting to me, like, God knows what else is. Two things Emma's just said. What happens on RWS stays. The pre-record chat is gold. It is.
The pre-record chat is gold. Like, it's almost as if everybody gets that in before we say that we're going to start recording, and then suddenly it's like, yes, we're behaving now.
and then it slowly deteriorates over the course. The other thing that Emma said, which is don't migrate to TikTok, it's full of shit, but she can't stop watching. And I have to say I agree with that, but this is another case of the vibe of the platform supporting what you're doing. And it's interesting because I felt that anyway. I was like, oh, do I go across to TikTok? When it first happened, I was like, do I go across to TikTok? Do I open something up? And I was like, oh, I just don't, like, it just doesn't feel right. Like, I'm not somebody who takes myself seriously, but my job isn't to dick about on a screen. You know, I'm sure that I might get paid quite a lot if I did some sort of specialist service dicking about on a screen, but I don't. So it's not my vibe. And it was really funny because a friend who is, if anyone uses Instagram, Danielle Garber, Be More You Online, is all about making sure that your marketing vibe suits your physical vibe. And Danielle's Reiki master. She's been a yogi for years and years and years. So she kind of gets that your business is an expression on you. And she said, like, don't do the reels, don't do TikTok unless it really suits your brand, unless it suits what it is that you're trying to get out there. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because even a marketeer looking at it purely from a marketing point of view is like, don't go there unless it really suits you. It is fun though, and I love going through, and I love what I've got family members who do stuff and dances. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that must have taken them ages to go on and do it. Eva said she downloaded it on a Friday. By the Sunday, she was in a downward spiral and she had to delete it and never return. Like, it's addictive. Like, me and the kids could probably spend hours watching like the animal ones and goofy little dances and stuff like that. But it's kind of like brain numbing, and sometimes you need that, but sometimes you've got to be really aware that you're numbing your brain for too long. My sister sent me what do you think of this reading? This person doing reading on TikTok. I was like, she's literally reading the messages written on the cards. Like, there's no interpretation. Like, you know, sis, you could do that, and you could do it better. But you know, it's not for me. It's probably, I don't know. My sister's like a millennial. My sister's like 23, 24, something like that. So, you know, it's probably more that vibe. Maybe I'd get more youngsters if I went in it. I don't know, but it is so important to have the right platform online to promote what you're doing. But what's really interesting is that all of us, Witch Talk is a thing. Is it, Tracy?
It is. So Emma Dennis absolutely loves Witch Talk. Don't you, Emma? Like, proper loves it. We were talking about it last night, and that's where she found a specific thing, and the Witch Talk drama. Yes, Witch Talk drama. I'm so tempted to download TikTok again just to find Witch Talk, but I'm not going to. You can't make me, no matter how much you entice me. My sister Tracy sends me a TikTok at least once a day, and I watch it, I laugh, and then I go, that suits me fine. Like, send me a couple a week or one a day, so that I can get a little fix, you know, without actually downloading it, because I am not somebody who manages dopamine hits to the brain well. At all. Like, my scroll finger is a god. So I deleted TikTok, and I haven't missed it at all. Plus my sister gives me a fix every now and again. Facebook is my nemesis. It really is, and I don't know what it is about it. It's really fascinating because I love Facebook. I'm a very sociable person. I love talking to people. I love reading about people. Like, it's, I guess I just thought maybe Facebook is the online version of people watching. I love people watching. I love sitting in a cafe and watching, you know.
All of that stuff.
You know, it's one of the things I love to do, and sitting in a park and watching, you know, watching the dogs go by and all their different personalities.
You're clearly listening to that conversation. Yes, I am, and it's fascinating. And if they want to say something to me, then they're welcome to, because I don't care if I get caught out for it, because it's interesting.
Yeah, right. So I'm thinking maybe that's why I really am into Facebook is that whole people
And
watching
actually,
thing.
let's think about it. How much of that have you had over the last year, that people
Yeah.
watching experience? Like nil. So it's, you know, it's really interesting what we use to fill those gaps. And for me, like physical community is really important because you're
Yeah.
actually, there's something actually which happens with the brachial chakras, if you want to know the technicalities, actually when you're with the right people, when you're in the right community, when you're with the right people, and you'll know when you're with the right group of people because you'll feel it and you know it, and you get that hit. There's a physical reaction where each of you picks each other up, with your energetic fields, pick each other up. And that's kind of what I think most people feel when you go into a space that isn't quite right. We've been told to override that, like kiss your evil auntie, even though you don't want to. So you get taught to override all of this stuff, and then you go and join a physical community and go, oh, this doesn't quite feel right, but I don't know where else to go, so I'm going to carry on coming here. Don't do it. Like if you go into somewhere and it doesn't feel right, don't come back, because that will be your energy telling you that there's a problem.
Sorry, I'm just remembering an incident with my sister where I took her to a community space once. It's the only time she came. And there was someone who used to meet everybody outside as they came in. And they're a bit of a hugger. My sister is not a hugger. And this person actually like pretty much rugby tackled my sister into like trying to get a hug.
It's like it's a complete assault when you're on you.
Right?
As far as I'm concerned, if you're not, and you think about, I think about my 8-year-old son and somebody trying to do that to him when he doesn't want to be touched. Like Tracy, I could imagine.
Tracy can handle herself and did so very, very well and very, very clearly. But yeah, it's a bit like that. Like clearly this is not my people and this is not my space.
And the fact that you get that not everyone's a hugger for various reasons, and that you're actually forcing yourself on somebody, not a good thing.
It was actually a man as well, which, you know.
Oh no.
That's for another live.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how does community look moving forward? Because one of the things that I love about our community group is one of the reasons that we wanted it online was because it was accessible.
Yes.
It was accessible to parents, single parents, to people who are carers of other people in their family. Yeah, you are a hugger, except for people like that. For people who struggle to get out in the evening.
His instinct was there.
It was very strong. It's like, you're not coming near me. No.
Yeah. Stranger danger. Yeah.
Stranger Jane. Yeah, exactly. So like one of the reasons that when I closed my physical community down, I asked people what was the struggle with coming, and a lot of the answers were things like, I don't like to drive in the dark, actually. I'm a carer and I need to be around for my partner, or I have allergies, I have a disability, all kinds of different answers. And one of the things that I've loved about seeing the online space transform in the last year is how accessible it has become to an absolute tirade of people who have struggled to receive support, help, community spaces, all of those things, because nobody cared until like they were forced to. I'm not irritated at the fact that we did it first.
Of course not.
But like, what I would hate is to see these communities, and I know for us it won't be changing. We will maintain our online community, but we are looking forward to bringing in some face-to-face stuff alongside. But what I would hate to see is these communities that have gone out of their way to provide accessibility to people who they never reached before.
Yes.
then sod off back to being face to face again.
Yeah, solely face, absolutely. There's yeah, absolutely field trip. I think for me, I definitely want to, when I can do healing circle again, like that's a must. Like, you know, there's something quite nice about coming together. And actually what the last year has really shown me is what out of my community groups do I enjoy and need to keep up. And actually healing circle once a month, maybe in a different venue. Again, guess what? Different venue. Maybe a community group for healing circle would be a really good thing. And that's something that I'm sure David and I will chat about as the time comes. And also like the field work, field trips, you know, all of that stuff we know, like getting out and actually doing the work when you're an energy healer, getting out and showing people what energy feels like in a screwed up place. You know, and then go, oh yeah, I've never liked this spot. That will be why. There's a, you know, all of that fun stuff that you physically get when you're out and about, coupled with the online community is really good. But I completely agree with you that it's, you know, I'd been online for my readings at least for a really long time. I was reticent about doing my healing online because not so much because I didn't know that it would work, but because I actually enjoyed seeing people face to face for the healing. And I was like, I'm going to have to get my head around this. And I did. And it's meant that actually I've enabled clients who are much further afield from me to come to me for healing, who normally wouldn't have had access to me or to, yeah, I really miss healing, who wouldn't have had access to me or to maybe even to healing, depending on their circumstances. And that's not changing. Like honestly, certainly in the short term, we're going to have COVID restrictions. I'm not going to be seeing anyone face to face because my workroom is in my house with my dirty, filthy children, and I cannot guarantee the sanctity of of the space in a physical way. Spiritually, it'd be beautiful, but physically, so you know, those people that have, I think it's done two things. It's opened businesses up to online stuff. Like I said, I was kind of there anyway, and you were kind of there anyway, and it's just kind of really pushed it through to the next level. But I think a lot of that has been because people have had to get their head around doing things online and receiving online as well. So what's happened is that that's switched both ways, and I completely agree with you. I would hate to see services which have opened up to particularly vulnerable people, like you say, whether that vulnerability is because they're alone and stuck in a house for whatever reason, or whether that's a physical vulnerability where they physically can't get out of the house, that those people have services that they enjoy and that they love taken away from them. It would be absolutely devastating to see that sort of thing go. My personal opinion is exactly the same as yours, Nick, which is that stuff's going to stay. Some of it's going to migrate off Facebook is probably my feeling, and people are going to find new ways to provide things. And maybe, you know, they spent the last year tarting up their websites and getting their communities on websites. And actually, it's probably something anyone watching this worth knowing. Like, it's worth getting on people's mailers, and it's worth getting on people's, you know, newsletters and outside of those groups, because actually the community itself is the person who you're dealing with, or that company that you're dealing with, and actually being in direct contact with them, not necessarily through Facebook, is what's going to give you all of them. It's going to give you the whole shebang, everything that's going on. So you know, that's worth thinking about, because, you know, talking particularly in spiritual fields, I think as spiritual people we feel this stuff. Like you say, I don't know why this isn't working, but something's not working for me at the moment. And the amount of other spiritual people, and I can probably count another half a dozen on top of us, who've either taken themselves off Facebook, intermittently take themselves off Facebook, who get fed up with it, or who I know have got a love-hate relationship with it. Like, there's definitely a shift coming at some point. And I think we all kind of like need to kind of have it somewhere in the back of our mind. Eve has said it's been, I love that, Eve. One of the blessings of moving to Yorkshire mid-pandemic is she doesn't feel so cut off from her friends and family because she had to adapt to being online. That made the transition easier. And like your mum and dad and people like that. My mum using Zoom, and because she's Irish and the size of a leprechaun, not moving the laptop top, and just seeing the top of it. Yeah, just seeing like the top half of her head, and like texting my sister and going like, can you go upstairs and sort mum's laptop out? Like, I know that you've just got in from work and you're about to join, but can you hurry up because it's actually funny? And then realizing that they can't use the chat, so like talking about mum and dad in front of them, taking the piss out of them in the chat because they don't know how to get into the Zoom chat. You know, those have been joys. Those things have been genuine joys. And actually hearing that, I don't know if anyone watched the Harry the Harry interview with James Corden, but he said that his granddad doesn't even switch Zoom off. You know, he just slams the laptop lid down and walks off. And I could just imagine Prince Philip doing that, slamming the laptop lid down and just walking off. So it's those joys that actually we wouldn't have got. And we're all kind of being forced to use this tech, and it's brought us together in a completely different way. And I think, you know, gone are the days of us like deciding that, you know, the internet is all bad and all the rest of it. We're actually genuinely really seeing the potential and being forced to use the potential, at the same time remembering that we want to be around people, and we want to be around people that we love. And if any of us are in a position where we still don't want to be around people, you're not hanging out with the right people. That's your problem. Right. Use your gut instinct. Listen to the vibes. There's loads of people out there who will absolutely suit your vibe, but it might be that you meet those people online or you find them online, and then you might end up having some sort of physical meetup at some point.
Yeah, like if this year has given us any kind of opportunity, it's given us the opportunity to go, okay, I was out of my house like 4 out of 7 evenings a week.
Mm-hmm.
What out of those things do I actually miss?
Yeah.
Like, oh, actually, I only miss one of those things.
Mm.
So, you know, because the heart doesn't lie, you know, it doesn't lie. If you're like, oh my God, they're opening things back up again, I can't wait to. What can't you wait to do? I can't wait to have a cup of tea in my garden with my sister next week. Like, I might cry. I'm so excited about that. Because I haven't seen my sister. Like, I see my sister every day on like chat, but I haven't physically seen my sister for I don't even know how many months.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking forward to being able to go to a healing chair.
Yeah.
Even if it's outside, I don't care. I'm looking forward to our kids annoying the shit out of each other, Rach.
Yeah. Alice brought it up today, yes. Yeah, well, one of the people that she wants to see when COVID comes is Nici and the kids. I was like, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah.
Oh.
She has some big plans. I've had to sort of scale down her plans in her head already.
You know, it's crazy. It's not actually these big, huge things.
Mm.
You know, it's the simple, beautiful things. And, you know, while we were talking again, it reminded me of the ancestral healing evening we did at Royal Victoria Country Park.
Yeah.
In the dark with our hot chocolate and candles and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And it was just so beautiful, a beautiful bunch of divinely put together people.
Yes, it was a really good evening.
Such a good evening. I'm going to see a musical. I can't wait. Right?
Absolutely.
I've never looked forward to my birthday this year so much. My birthday's not till December, and I'm going to see John Bishop.
Hi.
And I had to like really think about, should I book these tickets or not, you know, because I don't trust anything, you know. But actually I checked and they're refundable if anything goes to pot again, and the hotel is not pay until the day, and you can cancel on the day, because, you know, again, companies have put these kinds of things in, which again makes them more accessible. And I really hope,
when you think about budgets and you think about money, and that is a genuine concern for a lot of people at the moment, that feeling of scarcity is kind of kicking in for a lot of people, which is really hard when you're an energy worker, because you're like, I need to feel into the abundance, but I can feel all that nagging away behind me. Oh my god, like trying to sort out your head around that stuff. But that feeling of scarcity is there. So absolutely, those things that make actually somebody be able to plan a holiday without having to put out too much money or a lot of money makes a massive deal of difference. Like I think some Butlins thing, we had to put something like £10 down on, and we're like, yeah, let's have that. If we lose £10, let's stuff it. It's £10. So it's things like that where actually it gives you and your family members and your friends something to look forward to.
That's so beautiful, Vicky.
Oh, Vicky's just said she's met a lady whilst in hospital who back in Jan and connected. She's back in at the same time now, and they've realised that there's more in common spiritually than they did in Jan. It's amazing that how much spiritual people hide in plain sight. Like we hide in plain sight, and actually it's something that I've done has been a really big theme for spiritual people over the last couple of months and a few months, and that'll be coming forward, is us actually being able to feel like you can say some of the woo-woo stuff now, because people are dipping into it. People are going, my mental health has gone crazy over the last year, or I've had time to do that self-exploration, or actually I've had time to really look at crystals or Reiki or whatever it was that I was a little bit interested in. I've really had a good old Google, and I've been doing some research and having a deep dive into that stuff, and we're now in a position where we can kind of connect and not hide in plain sight. We can be seen in plain sight. And it's interesting that you've had that conversation the second time around. First time around, it's always really difficult to stand there and go, like if you've got autistic kids, Vicky, it's really easy. They just say stuff like, in my previous life I was a god called Dylan, and then walk off, and that's the first conversation you've had with a neighbour. Yeah, we believe in previous lives and reincarnation. That's our belief system.
Or my children who go, my mum talks to dead people. Thanks, guys. Maddie actually told her RE teacher that. Oh yeah, my mum talks to dead people. She's a psychic medium, and the teacher was like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Because blah 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 blah. And Maddie was like, "Oh, cool! Like my teacher thinks you're cool." And I'm like, "Okay, that's a good step forward." Because
she's a good RE teacher. Do RE for GCSE, Maddie. From Eva said for her, her joys come back to Whitchurch, seeing her family, hugging the dogs, and having a Chinese takeaway. Like it is those simple things which we know that we're coming back to all of that stuff. Yeah. Vicky's just added, we've now become each other's support this day. I love that. That's beautiful. If that isn't the fucking universe working for you, Vicky, then I don't know what is for both of you. That is the universe going, let's just stick these two slightly woo-woo crazy bitches in together at a really difficult time in their life, and they can support each other in a way which means that they don't have to hide themselves from each other. The online crystal shops have exploded, which is absolutely because and it's those times when I've got some bits and pieces to buy online. I know a lot of other people have done it as well, because actually it's kind of giving you that opportunity where I can't physically go into a shop and buy stuff. I'm going to have to go online and pick it up, and I think it's great that it's actually helping smaller businesses. They've also out of Moldavite. Moldavite is an amazing. Dylan's got the most awesome piece. I'll put a photo in the group chat later, Emma. Dylan it cost me about 15 quid when we were in Glastonbury, but it's amazing. Vicky said she has a husband who's a social moron. Oh, we're all in the same club, Vic. That counts fine. Yeah, feeling you on that one. Right.
I'm looking forward to moving forward. I'm really glad that we have a community base that was the foundations of which were created before COVID.
Yes.
Because they were created with a very different intention to when a lot of other companies went online.
Absolutely.
you know, we created it to be an online space, not because it had to be online.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I love that we'll be continuing forward with that. I love the stuff we got lined up as the months go forward, and you know, I love how it's you know, when I hear people say like, oh my god, thank god it's Thursday, you know, because I get to see you crazy twats, you know. I absolutely love that, and I feel exactly the same way. And that's when you know that you've got a community where you belong.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I think that's probably, you know, one of the things that's got me through, very much got me through probably the last few months, is like, at least I know that I do well at my work, even if my work feels a lot sparser at the moment, because of physical restrictions as well as, you know, people's monetary restrictions. Even if my work feels sparse, when I do it well, and I've always got fucking Thursday evening to go along. And yeah, a couple of weeks ago we did, there was a really small group, and there's always part of you that goes, oh, only a couple of people have turned up. And actually it was really, really nice. It was such a nice evening. I came around and Matt was like, do you have a good evening? I was like, yeah, actually I had a really fucking good evening. Really, really good evening. I really enjoyed myself. And I think
that is something really important, because when I was running in person communities, if only a couple of people turned up, that was me paying rent out of my own pocket.
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
if I've got one or two people, even one person who turns up to a chat, you know, I can be there for that one person, and there's nothing else over my head. Like, I was already turning up anyway. I had already put my energy aside for this. You know, I've already put my energy into this every week anyway. So whoever turns up is going to get all of me without any of the restrictive kind of stuff that comes with an in-person space.
Absolutely, absolutely, because you do think, yeah, I am going to have to pay for this evening out of my pocket. And there might be another week that comes along and that absolutely doesn't happen. But, you know, it is always there. I'm having to make the rent, no, let alone trying to put anything in my pocket just for my time. So absolutely, that's not that. And it was really nice. It was really, really nice. And those, you know, and I think it just goes to show that that's what the feeling that you should want. You, like I've said to you, I've had this thing for the last probably 18 months now, which is I want to be blessed to be in other people's company, and I want them to feel blessed to be in mine. Like, I want to feel that both ways. Like, I want to feel good about being with you, and I want you to feel good about being with me. And I want us to show that to each other. And that's really like shaped a lot of the decisions that I've made and the ways that I've moved over that period. And that's what that evening felt like. Like, it was blessed. Like, the whole evening felt absolutely blessed. And moving away from, you know, and I want this for everyone, like, move away from that stuff where you don't feel blessed to be there and they don't feel blessed to be around you. If you're walking in somewhere and the leader's a bit like, oh, not many people have turned up, or, you know, or like snippy or rude, or you know, whatever it is about that, if you don't feel blessed, that even if it's only £5 that you've put into the group that evening, because, you know, it isn't much putting £5 in, that if it doesn't feel that that person's grateful for the £5 that you've put in, then don't go somewhere. Go somewhere else. You know, that's what it's about. So you know, I've always, and I think you probably had the same attitude, which is, it is around a £5. If you can't afford a £5 and you want to put in less, then fucking put in less. I'd rather you were here and we're in the space than not. So you know, especially because it is a lifeline for some people, and like you say, that physical lifeline now being online, I think it just makes it all the better.
Yeah, it does. Oh no, it's gone.
It's gone. It might be because it's 9:10 and it's Spirit trying to wrap us up.
I was like, another thing. No.
No, like, you're done. It's Friday night. Shut up and go and watch some Netflix. Yeah. Which you can't go out dancing in. my dancing has mostly been Hey Dougie, the stick song. If you haven't googled Hey Dougie stick song, do it. It will stay in your head forever, but you will be taken back to your misspent youth through that song. And
sea shanty all week. That's what I was going to say about Healing Share. So something that I used to feel about Healing Share, because it's quite far away from me, I was like, oh, do you know what? I'll go next time.
Yeah.
I think I'll just go next time.
Yeah.
And it's only when you kind of don't have next time that you kind of go, okay, was it actually worth the extra travel, and it was. And I know, like, us humans are very, oh, Rachel's gone. I know us humans are very used to, we get very quickly into the kind of routines of, oh, she is here, I can't see you. We get into the kind of stuff where it's, I'm always going to appreciate this now, and actually, like, it gets very quickly, we go, oh, next time, I'll do it next time. But actually, like, I can't wait for she's been thrown out by StreamYard. I can't wait for it to come back and actually go and appreciate taking that extra time to drive there, because that's extra time I get to my fucking self that I haven't had for over a year.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's those times when you realise that you miss. I remember the first time getting out after I had Dylan and just putting on the music really loud and driving really fast, because that's what I like to do. And it is those times where you just want to turn the music up loud and drive by yourself and be on your own in a car. And yeah, it's going to change that. And like you say, thinking about, it might be a half hour there or however long it's going to take me to get there, but I want to do that. I want to put myself out for it. And those show you the gems, which is actually, I'm still happy to travel, even though I'm tired and all the rest of it. I'm still happy to go. I've popped on the link to our group. So please check it out. You will see that, they are like this evening, really. Some heckling abuse on the comments, and and the two of us just chatting, which we do enjoy doing. So we'd love you to join us if you feel that we're right for you. And if you don't feel that we're right for you, then go out and find a group that is. Do find a group. Don't spend your time by yourself. Join a community that feels right and works for you. It's so important for you to have that community, because as we are here having a human experience, we are spirits having a human experience, and part of that human spirit experience, a major part of that human experience, is other people, and sharing it with them. It will expand your mind, it will expand your understanding. All Nici and I have to do is to have a conversation, and each of us will come away with something. There'll always be something that each of us come away with, some little nugget. So it's those friendships that you want to build, and I really want that for you. No matter who you choose, you feel drawn to work with.
Yeah.
So I think we are done.
But come to us, because ours is way funnier.
We are good. We are fun. You might notice we don't take ourselves too seriously. There might be the odd F-bomb dropped in.
No fucking way.
Yeah, I know, right? It's really bad. And you're likely to come away having expanded your mind and your heart and your soul. Do you like that?
And your pelvic floor, because it requires a lot of holding.
Oh, okay. Of all those post-childbirth ladies, you're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, because the laughs.
It's true.
You really help to tone your pelvic floor.
There we go.
See, we're just all round wonderful people.
And for
thanks,
me,
Rach.
That's all right. Yeah. Oh, and something that I've just been reminded of is in my book, Banshee Heart Healer. There is a section about joy-based community and attracting in joy-based community, which is part of the Banshees work. And if you want a serious community, you're not gonna want to particularly join myself or Nici, but if you do like a joy-based community, then our community is for you, and also a Banshee book will be for you. The Banshee book isn't particularly funny, I'll be honest. It is a deep dive into.
It's got some really light-hearted, lovely bits in it, though.
It has. It's not heavy, if that makes sense.
It's not.
I'll put it in. It's like what I want to say is it's not a joke book. It is a heartfelt look at ourselves, about grief, loss, love, anger, and focusing us back on joy-based community. Oh, very interesting. It won't take my Amazon link into the chat.
Fascinating.
Let's have a look. Try one more time. Let's work then. There we go. So that's in the chat as well. Right. I think we're done for this evening. Next Friday, I haven't decided what I'm talking about. Yay! Still
we're just leaving.
Sorry. So
yeah, I hope your live went wonderfully, Eloise. I'll catch up on it shortly.
Yeah, snap. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing next Friday. I will do something next Friday. I have to decide what. I did have an idea, but the idea's left my head. It's fallen out of my ear, which isn't unusual. So I will let you guys know.
Quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. Obviously, we've given you the link to Real World, but we haven't told you what's coming up, which is next week. Rachel is holding the evening, and she is talking about the tarot and the major arcana.
Yes, I am.
Which is awesome. And the following week, we have a guest speaker, Zachariah Perry, who is a very, very close friend of mine and Rachel's. And he will be sharing some advanced candle magic with us.
I know, it's going to be
which
fun.
Which is so exciting.
It's going to be fun. Very fun. So yes. We've got a good couple of weeks coming up, actually. Quite magic-y, but because the tarot has got that magical feeling to it, and obviously candle magic has got a magical feeling to it as well. So I know, Tracy, I know, right?
Like any evening that Zach's in's worth coming. And for those of you who have never been a part of Real World, your first week is free. So, you know, if you wanted to turn up on the one that Zach's doing on the 8th of April, then like you literally can join up, attend the first evening for free, and then you can, you know, if we're not for you, you cancel your subscription before it's due to be paid. And if you think, oh, actually, like this is quite a fun community, then you just allow it to continue on, and it's £20 a month.
Yeah, which is a bargain, and it's also highly flexible as well. You just need to cancel it whenever you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, you know, and actually the higher arcana is like a really valuable lesson in itself. Advanced candle magic is a really valuable lesson in itself. So lifelong skills from both of those are going to help you practically.
Yes, and then I was just thinking, Rach and I have this thing where we kind of just throw ideas around, and one of the ideas that we had was for me to run an evening on emotional first aid, and I said, oh, I think we'll leave that until things start opening back up again. I've just realized, because I looked in our joint planner today, I've just realized that it's actually set for the week that all of retail reopens, and hair, and
well done, Nici,
and all of that. So the following week after Zach, we've got emotional first aid with me, which is helping to equip you with everything you're going to need for going back out into the crazy world after a year of being stuck in your house.
Yes, and actually it's those things where we kind of know we're aligned to the universe because our timing is bloody perfect, and there's no logic to the timing. We don't sit down and spend hours channeling or look at the stars or anything clever like that, or even don't try to practically plan anything out. It's just all smashed into the calendar, and it's meant to be wherever it's meant to be. Vicky, hopefully you will have a baby to feed next Friday. Like, fingers crossed, a tiny cute baby that I can come and kiss at some point. Because my 2.5-year-old's now a big snotty mess at the moment. So she's lost all of her babiness.
She's still cute.
She's unbelievably cute.
Right, I'm leaving.
Yes, otherwise we'll just keep on talking. Right, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining me this evening, all you guys. You've been lovely. The chat's been fantastic, and we'll all catch up soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye.